Hello and welcome to this seminar, Building a Property Business in 2021. So who's this webinar for? Well, firstly, it's for those that want to take action, who want to start or expand their property business in 2021. It's also for committed people who want to build a portfolio or development business. If you want to replace your job or start a business and need a step-by-step plan. It's not for those looking for a get-rich-quick scheme, but it is for those who want to build a sustainable property business for the future. So what's happening in the market today? Well, property prices are at an all-time high. And in fact, property transactions are also at an all-time high. So we've never had this kind of situation before. But the pandemic has prompted a lot of things to happen in a much quicker way. Repossessions at an all-time low. And that's quite common when we're in this kind of situation, but also it's a backlog of the effects of the pandemic and, more importantly, the government measures that have been taken. One of those was, of course, the stamp duty reductions. So if you're not aware, there was a reduction in stamp duty until next March. Now, we don't know what's going to happen with that, but it is suspected that that will be extended because the stamp duty reduction has helped prop up not just the property market, but also a number of jobs associated with the property market, and that has a knock-on effect to the economy as a whole. The furlough scheme, an excellent scheme that the Chancellor came out with, and quite rightly too, because a lot of people would have been without work very, very quickly. So this helped stave that off, and that was due to expire in October, but that's now been also extended to March. And we don't know what's going to happen then, but I don't think that scheme will continue past March. We've got mortgage holidays. So the Chancellor pushed lenders to offer mortgage holidays to their borrowers, and some took advantage of that. That was initially up to a 6-month period, and that was also due to expire in October. But again, that scheme has been extended for those who didn't take advantage of it previously. However, we're in our first recession since 2009 as a direct result of the pandemic. In fact, the GDP figures for August and September were the worst on record in a post-war economy. The furlough scheme and mortgage holidays will end by March. Now, as I said earlier, the stamp duty holiday may well extend past March, but there's no indication of that as of yet. So we'll have to assume all these three will end. Now, if they do all end at the same time, what effect is that going to have on the property market? Well, unfortunately, for many, the furlough scheme ending will mean a massive increase in unemployment. We've already started to see that, and I sincerely hope we don't get back to when I first joined the job market in 1979, when unemployment was over 3 million. But we are starting to creep up. So something to look out for. But when that happens, it also has an effect on the property market, and I'll come on to that later. We've also got Brexit happening. Even as of today, at the time of recording this seminar, we still don't know what the deal will be with the EU. One assumes we will have a deal in place, but what if we don't? What effect is that going to have on the economy and the property market? Interest-only borrowers face 2021 eviction risks. So what do I mean by that? Well, over the past 30 years, one of the most common ways of taking out a residential mortgage was on an interest-only basis. The borrower was supposed to have a repayment vehicle in place, but many didn't, and not many lenders actually insisted either. Well, that's now coming home to roost, and 2021 will see the first of those mortgages starting to mature, where lenders will be wanting their money back. So what's going to happen? Who knows? We've got new permitted development rights. So essentially what that means is the government has relaxed the rules on certain types of development to encourage house building, because there's no question about it that house building or creating more residential accommodation has a major impact on the economy. And what about the COVID vaccine? We've had recent announcements of success with a number of COVID vaccines around the world. So when will they be launched, and what effect will that have on the economy moving forward? I think it can only have a positive impact. Undoubtedly, it'll affect people's mentality, and it'll affect the way we start to do business in 2021. So what does this all add up to? Well, I think it adds up to opportunity. Now, whichever way you look at it, uncertain times creates opportunity in any market. and we're no different. The furlough scheme, unemployment rising, will undoubtedly create situations with affordability and people getting into financial situations that they can't afford. Whether you like it or not, that will create an opportunity. The change in the stamp duty has already created a temporary opportunity because of the reductions in stamp duty. The ending of the interest-only schemes, or the start of the end of the interest-only schemes, that again could create a potential opportunity. But it only is an opportunity if you know what you're doing. So who are we? Well, we're Property Master Academy, so we coach and help people invest safely and successfully in property. My two business partners, we have Peter Licorinos. Peter has been in property for over 22 years. He had his own estate agency in Berkshire, which he sold his shares in at about 6 years ago and started to deal purely with the investor side. Very motivated guy, very enthusiastic, and focuses very much on HMOs and property sourcing, but of course has an all-round skill as far as investing is concerned, and runs a number of companies in that respect. Jackie, she's been in property now about 16 years, has quite a large portfolio, and is probably our best coach that we have within our company. And then of course myself, also a large portfolio, been in property over 16 years, and similar kind of things that I do between myself and Peter and Jackie. So what will you do when you have your own property business making you money 24/7? Because that is a reality. You know, if you can get a property business up and running, it will produce an ongoing revenue. And whilst it's not easy by any stretch of the imagination, it's certainly achievable. So what do you need to be successful in property? Well, the first thing is mindset. You know, having a positive mindset, a can-do kind of attitude, you're 90% of the way there. The rest of it is going to be knowledge. And that's going to be understanding things like strategies, the different ways you can make money in property, and there are several. Understanding financing, how we actually will finance a particular project. The legal structures, where we find the deals, the opportunities, and of course having a good reason. Now let's look at mindset. You don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. That's the important bit. You have to get started. It's no point in just watching this webinar and then doing nothing. You have to make a decision to get started. And that comes down to three types of people. Are you the type of person that gets started on something, perhaps gives up too soon, hustles too hard, works really, really hard and doesn't really get to where you want to be? Or are you going to work smart? And that's what I'm talking about here today. It's working smart with systems in place to make you successful. So are you the I can't do it person, or are you the I can do it type of person? It's the I can do it types of people that we want to work with. So understand the right strategies and opportunities for 2021. What are they? Well, let's look at the different ways you can make money in property from an income perspective. So those are the ones that produce a regular income, or from a capital perspective where they're producing a lump sum at different stages. On the income side, we have your basic buy-to-lets, BTL, and that's essentially a home that you're renting to a family. One up from that is HMOs. They are houses of multiple occupancy, which is where you're renting by the room. An extremely profitable way of renting property and very popular with investors. Topic called lease options. Now, lease option is a way of controlling a property. In other words, you're not owning it, but you will earn money out of it. That is also the same with rent to rent. Again, where you're controlling the property and making money out of it. Sourcing is a method of finding attractive deals for investors and selling them to them for a fee. Now, out of all of the income ones, that is one of the few that does not produce a recurring income. And then lastly, on the income side, commercial. Commercial property is often misunderstood, particularly by newer investors, but it is a very attractive area and can achieve quite a good passive income. Now, if we look at the capital side, so flipping, buy to sell. So what we're looking to do is buy a property that needs some work, add some value to it, but refurbishing, could be a new kitchen, new bathroom, windows, whatever, and then sell it for a profit. Then there's trading, which is just literally buying and selling properties. So it's buying the property in one particular market and selling in a different market to make a margin. Development, this ranges from everything from basic refurbishments through to converting properties, converting commercial properties, through to land, new build. PD stands for permitted development rights, which is what I mentioned on one of the earlier slides, where the government has made it a little bit easier to convert properties that otherwise couldn't have been done previously. Freehold, leasehold. There are a lot of properties around the country where they're currently under one freehold title, and by splitting those titles you can actually create value and make a profit. Leads me on to short leases. There are a lot of leasehold properties in the country, primarily flats, and whilst there are some changes going on around leasehold, they are quite minor really, and won't affect flats that much. And the thing with short leases is once a lease becomes less than 70 years left, it becomes extremely difficult to get a mortgage on it, and that creates an opportunity for an investor because there's a way of building that lease up to a higher number of years, and you create value by doing so. The longer the lease on a flat, the more value it has, and that's where you as an investor can actually make money. And then something called land assembly, which is where you're assembling plots of land with no value to create some value and making money in the process. And they're quite chunky bits of money on all of these. Understanding financing. Now, like any business, if you have cash, cash is king, without a shadow of doubt, and can give you a very good negotiating position. But for the majority, you're going to need a mixture of cash and probably mortgages. There's buy-to-let mortgages, there's commercial mortgages. Don't get confused by the name. They essentially do the same thing, just a different methodology about them. We have something called bridging finance. Bridging finance is short-term finance. Think of it very much like an overdraft, personal loan. It has that higher rate that you pay, much higher rate than a mortgage, but it is only designed for a short period of time. Then you have government and local council financing. Now here we often get a number of grants available, and you'll often hear about areas being regenerated where money is being pumped into the local economy. So often there'll be grants to help improve buildings. I've been fortunate enough on 2 or 3 of my properties where I've benefited from that. One property had a complete roof replaced and new double glazing, new door, and a front garden wall and fence, all free of charge from a grant from the local council that was looking to what they called create frontage improvements for a particular area they were looking to regenerate. In other words, make the area look nicer. So there are a lot of councils that do that, and there are also a lot of government grants available as well. Crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is a relatively new method of raising money. It's been around for about 5 years now, and it's where companies set up a platform which attracts investors into it, which that company will then lend out to a property project. Simple as that, and obviously the investors get a return on it. The developer gets the money they need to finish the project. A facility, that is very similar to an overdraft, whereas all the others, so crowdfunding, government grants, the bridging, the mortgages, all require you to find the property first. The facility is where you approach a bank and say, look, this is what I'm looking to do. I've got a business plan here. I need to borrow 1, 2, 3, 4 million, whatever it might be. And so you're arranging the money first before you start to look for the properties. Now that's only really available to the more experienced investors or those that have a previous business track record. And then lastly, joint ventures. Joint ventures is by far one of the most popular ways that property businesses develop and grow their business, working with other investors. Very, very popular. An area that's got a bit of regulatory attention to it, but once you understand that, an exceptionally good way of raising money, as you'll see in some of the examples I'll show you shortly. Then we've got the legal structures. Now I'm not a solicitor or an accountant to advise you on this, but the main areas are sole proprietorship, partnership, limited company, and limited liability partnership. What is right for you will depend on probably your tax situation, and that's where you'd need to talk to an accountant or a property tax accountant. And also look at control versus ownership. Are you going to be owning the properties, or are you going to be controlling them, or is it a mixture of them? And if you're not too sure what controlling is, read the book by Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, which kind of goes into that particular concept. And controlling property is extremely powerful because it means you don't have to buy it, so there's limited amount of capital input, but you actually make money from that property. Obviously, understanding how to find the opportunities. There are a multitude of ways of being able to find opportunities in the property market. Clearly, estate agents, they control approximately 90% of the market. However, I wouldn't say you'd necessarily always get a good deal from an estate agent, because at the end of the day, they're acting for the seller, and their objective is to get the highest price possible. You, as an investor in the property business, are looking to buy at the lowest price possible. So, yes, you can get good deals from estate agents. That requires a certain technique or way of dealing with them, which we will show you how to do that, thanks to Peter's extensive 22 years as an estate agent. Administrators. Administrators are where someone has been made bankrupt and their property has been put with an administrator. The administrator's job is to make sure that property is protected, but also sell it quickly for value to repay debts. And whilst that's not available to newer investors, for more experienced investors, it's a very good route to getting off-market properties. And auctions is also another way. Personally, I've never purchased a property at auction or land of any description, but post-auction is a different story. You can put offers in post-auction where something's not sold, and there the vendor is more likely to agree a deal. In fact, there's over 32 different ways of finding opportunities within property, and there's maybe a few more to add on to top of that as well. So it's quite a big marketing exercise to find opportunities. The more opportunities you look for, the more chances you have of securing a deal. So let me show you some example deals just to see what I'm talking about. First one here, this is in Guildford in Surrey, a house of multiple occupancy. You can see it was not purchased, so this was done on what's called the rent-to-rent strategy. Had minimal setup costs, £3,000 to £5,000. So as you can see here, this is in Guildford in Surrey. The property is probably £350,000 to £400,000, and yet to set up that property only £3,000 to £5,000 with net cash flow after all costs of £1,200 per month. So your return on investment is very, very quick, only 3 to 4 months. This one in Hemel Hempstead, an ex-local authority flat. Again, this one was not purchased. It was done on what's called a lease option, a controlling strategy. So we didn't own the property, but we were able to control it and make money from it. The minimal setup costs, again, only £1,500 to £2,000, and net cash flow after all costs, £375 per month. So payback within 6 months. So again, a very good return on investment. Go further north now, up into Hull, and this was an old Victorian property where we converted to an HMO this time. So purchase price, as you can see, £60,000, quite low, refurbishment budget, and so we've added some value here. I said on one of the earlier slides about adding value to a property. Well, that's what we've done here. All right, it's only about £15,000, but in percentage terms to the price of the property, it's quite a big percentage. Again, look at the net cash flow costs net cash flow after all costs of about £1,000 per month. No cash from the original investor was put into this deal. They found a joint venture partner who put the money into the deal to make it work. So you can see when I said you don't necessarily need a lot of cash, I've given you some examples there already where not much cash of your own was put in. This one, Bracknell. This was found through a sourcing agent. So a sourcing agent acts for the buyer. So like an estate agent, but clearly the other way around. Estate agents like acting for the seller. A sourcing agent acts for the buyer, and their job is to get the deal at the best price possible. Here you can see the figures. Net cash flow after all costs, £1,600 per month. So these are all income strategies. Another one here, bit of an income and capital strategy. Distressed landlords. So this was actually purchased through the receiver because these types of opportunities don't come onto the market through an estate agent, because an estate agent could not deal with 38 residential properties, commercial property and a lettings agency. Just physically impossible for them to do. So it goes to companies that act as receivers. And they then looked for experienced investors to be able to buy these. Because it's a limited market, that means you can negotiate a fairly hefty discount, as you can see in this example. Purchase price of just £750,000. But the survey valuation on day one was 1.35 million. In other words, we made a capital paper profit of £600,000 in one day, and then you can see the cash flow costs, after all costs here, of £9,000 per month, purchased with a JV partner. So none of our money was actually put into this deal. It was all put in by a JV partner. Another one, this time in Manchester. This is again from the receivers, a large property, which is an HMO, 14-bed house of multiple occupancy. You can see all the figures there. Cash flow around about £3,500 a month, end value of £620,000. That property has now been sold actually for £620,000. So you can see that's had a capital profit and a monthly profit. And the way this JV works, or an example of one of the ways the JV works in this example, the cash flow was split 50-50. So we took £1,700 per month, the joint venture partner had £1,700 per month, and then the increase in value was also split 50-50. Now let's look at a couple of capital strategies. So this one is just bought through a land agent. You can see the purchase price there. We obtained planning to build a house on this plot of land and sold that plot for £450,000, making a profit of £320,000. That was all done within a year. Now, if we decided to build the house, we would have made approximately £600,000, but that would have taken another year to do that, and it was a slightly complicated plot, so we decided not to do that. There are plenty of building companies out there that will buy plots with planning permission, so it's a very, very good strategy. Now this is another plot of land, but this one we didn't buy. This is done on an option only, so we paid £0, but a £1 contract. Yes, there's some legal fees there, but as you can see, the sale price to a developer over £800,000, and we made a profit of £265,000 on this particular deal. Not bad, bearing in mind we didn't actually buy the land in the first place. So, would you like to know how we can help you do the same? Because you can, with the right tuition and guidance and mentoring, coaching, we can help you do this. So which would you prefer? To try and do it on your own, reinvent the wheel, or work with someone that's been there, done it, and can help speed your access to that kind of money I've just shown you in those previous slides? Because whilst property is not a get-rich-quick scheme, you can make money relatively quickly if you know what you're doing, and you get the benefit of working with myself, Jackie and Peter, where we collectively have over 50 years worth of experience in investing in property. So what's stopping you? Is it not knowing what or where to buy? That's understandable. Well, we can show you how to do that. Unsure if the numbers add up? We have a number of deal analyzers that can show you whether a deal is going to work or not. Afraid of not being able to rent out the property? When you're looking to buy a property in the first place, you will know before you've bought it whether that property is going to rent out. Again, something we will show you. Worried about mortgage rates? There's no question that at some point in the future, mortgage rates will go up. But I've been saying that for the past 10 years because mortgage rates have been low for 10 years. The individual buy-to-let rates have fluctuated, and that's really depending on what's happening on the market. Sometimes they've gone up, sometimes they've gone down, and there's always obviously a reasonable margin between the base rate and the mortgage rate. But they do vary. But are they going to go back to the levels pre the last recession in 2008, 2009? I don't think so. Are you scared of possible major repair costs? If you follow the strategies that we teach, that should not happen because you're going to take care of those right at the very beginning before you rent out the property, if you're going to rent out properties. Obviously, if you're just developing anyway, you're carrying out the repairs before you sell it. And worried about the economy. Clearly, we are in uncertain times. The pandemic has thrown the whole world out. But there are lots of positive things happening where there are going to be opportunities for you in 2021 to make a really, really good start in developing your property business. So finding your reason. What does financial freedom mean to you? To me, it meant making sure that the income I had coming in covered all my bills. That meant I was financially free. I didn't have to work again. I don't have to work again. But I enjoy what I do. We continue to build our portfolio. We continue to build houses, and we run our training and mentorship company as well. What will you do with your freedom? It's an interesting concept. A lot of people say, well, why do you work, Mark? Very simple. We just enjoy what we do, and as long as we continue enjoying what we do, we'll continue with it. What would your perfect day look like? And what really drives you forward? You see, having a positive mindset and understanding all these things is great, but if you don't have a genuine reason for pushing yourself forward, then you may struggle. So what is holding you back? Here's some examples of people that we've worked with in the past. Viv and Ray Mitchell, they were from South Africa, and in their first year they achieved over £12,000 per month net cash flow in their first year. Now they couldn't get mortgages, so this was all done on controlling strategies, so controlling the property and earning income from them. Giuseppe was a project manager with Shell. Couldn't spend much time, did it very much part-time, so you can do this to run alongside your current job or your current business and build it up over time. Giuseppe did just exactly that on less than 10 hours per week. End of his first year, this is 7 properties, producing an income of over £5,600 per month and over £200,000 worth of equity. Simon had no previous property experience. In fact, he wrote music for a living for some well-known names. But he decided he didn't want to rent properties, he just wanted to build beautiful buildings, in his words. And that's why he went straight into development, and he made £250,000 after 18 months. So not bad for someone with no previous experience. But that's the guidance that we gave him, that gave him the confidence to go ahead and do this. Mithila and Mahmood, probably one of our youngest couples, their very first project was £1 million semi-commercial renovation. So what I mean by that is where it had a shop on the ground floor and a couple of flats above. They decided to keep this project, but if they'd sold it, they would have made over £300,000 in their first 12 months. And this is most current, Sangeeta and Neil Patel McCrindle. This is all done during lockdown this year. They got 5 properties producing £3,500 per month. 4 of those were controlling, 1 they bought, and they've just now secured another 2, which will add a further £1,800 to £2,000 per month onto their bottom line. All done during lockdown when a lot of people thought these things couldn't happen. So that gives you an idea of some of the people that we've worked with, we've coached and mentored over the past few years. But what's the opportunity? Well, let us see if we can help you start and grow your property business to those kind of levels and beyond. Do you qualify? Well, clearly you need to put in time. Now, if you're running this alongside your current business or job, you're going to need between 1 and 3 hours per day to really make it work. In that time, you need to commit yourself 100% and be coachable. Listen to what we say. You know, we've been there, we've done it, got the t-shirt if you like. So we've experienced most situations, including recessions. So we know what works and what doesn't, and that's what's going to guide you to succeed in your property business. Make sure you've got a strong why. Remember I said that reason. That's the thing that's going to get you out of bed to make this work. So focus on that and be open-minded. There's a lot of strategies here. There's a lot of things to learn in property to be successful. Some of the things you've heard of, some of them you won't have heard of. So be open-minded as to how they work, and then you'll be able to see opportunities yourself that you wouldn't otherwise have seen. And clearly have money to invest. Some of those examples I showed you there, not much money at all, but clearly if you have got money, it's going to be much more to your advantage. Entrepreneurship is living a few years of your life like most people won't, so that you can spend the rest of your life like most people can't. That is so true. It's working those first few years in any endeavour where you've got maybe a bit of sacrifice, time and effort you've got to put in to make it actually work. So are you, I can't do this, or I can do it kind of person? I'm hoping you've got this far, that you are I can do it kind of person. So let me introduce you to the PMA Property Business Mentor Program. This is a 12-month program which starts immediately. You have direct access to the 3 of us and the full PMA team and network. That includes our advisors, brokers, accountants, tax advisors and so on. It's our only online mastermind type program where you get immediate support and mentoring. You get a resource vault with all the documentation you will ever need. We run a weekly live group mastermind session. So you'll be part of a small group of people and you join that weekly live group, but also you get a fortnightly one-to-one mentoring and coaching session as well, where we focus purely on your business. You get support and guidance on all strategies, whichever you choose, and we have a 5 steps to getting started program which will guide you down a particular route, but then there's a decision you have to make at some point as to which strategies you want to learn and follow. You get access to a private accountability group and all the training and support you will need to grow a successful property business. So if all the mentorship did was help you to get your first property earning you more than £12,000 profit per annum, would it be worth it? But you've already seen examples where that's been far exceeded. What if you had 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe more, achieving £12,000 profit per annum? Would it be worth it? If it took the pressure off you financially every month, would that be worth it? If it gave you the time and money to do what you like to do when you like to do it, would that be worth it? If it gave you the peace of mind for retirement, would that be worth it? So what is your investment for this Property Business Mentor Elite program? Well, usually it would be £24,000. That is what we have charged in previous years. However, with what has gone on this year with COVID-19, we've brought out a specially discounted offer for December bookings only, and there are limited numbers for the one-to-one program. So if you want to work with us, you need to take action now. Your investment is just £10,000 plus VAT, or the monthly option of £900 plus VAT per month for 12 months. And that's with all the things I've just talked about, the direct access to myself, Jackie, Peter, the entire PMA team, which has a massive amount of experience. Now, whilst we don't offer any guarantees on the program, if you do not achieve your investment back within the first 12 months, you can resit the program again for the following 12 months free of charge. Hopefully that is in line with your expectations. But if not, we have a much slimmed down program at a reduced price. So what does that include? Well, it includes some of the aspects of what I've just mentioned, but it does not include direct access to the 3 of us and our team and network, and nor does it include the fortnightly one-to-one mentoring and coaching. So this is very much a group program and everything is done as a group. That investment would usually be £9,000. Again, we've reduced that for December, and your investment would be just £4,000 plus VAT, or the monthly option of £375 plus VAT per month for 12 months. So what's your next steps? If you're interested in either of these programs, what should you do next? Well, firstly, either book a one-to-one call with one of us. You can see the link on the slide here. Or alternatively, just text your name and email address to 07703 189 658 and one of our team will contact you. I hope you found this presentation interesting, and I sincerely hope we will be working with some of you in 2021 when there is going to be absolutely massive opportunities for the property sector. Whatever you decide, I wish you all the luck and thank you for listening.